What is up, everybody? Welcome to You Guys Made Me Inc., the #1 Finding Nemo podcast on the internet, the most consistent podcast on the internet. And today I'm joined by Vaughn.
You kind of forgot what you were talking about there?
Now, yeah, I was like, well, that just sounded ridiculous. But today it's only Vaughn and me because Justin, he's he's overseas right now. He's serving, so his time frame is
it's a little weird.
All out of whack.
Yeah, I don't know necessarily what he's doing, but yeah, he's doing something else.
He's not here, and that's all we know.
Yeah.
But like I said, the most consistent podcast for sure.
Yeah, it's just every Monday we just post. It definitely never had any issues with getting audio from anybody. And having to do it later, and then me being like, you know what, I'm too lazy to do it now. I'm just gonna wait until I can do make this to where we do one early. I basically work hard to be lazy. I'm like, yeah, that's a good life goal right there.
Yeah, yes it is.
Since we're already on the topic of life goals, and I have since we're already on the topic of life goals, one of my topics for today that I wanted to talk about was just life goals in general. So we've been friends for a long time, but I don't think we've necessarily really talked about it. I mean, I know we have, but I would kind of like to know your maybe specific, a specific life goal that you'd want. So to give you time to think about it, to give you time to think about it, I have recently decided that one of my life goals is I'm hoping that eventually throughout the course of my life and me hopefully developing a career in some way in video games, I don't really know, I want to, for the most part, go to PAX and actually either be on a panel or just there as not necessarily as a consumer. You can go to PAX, you could buy tickets, I could just go to PAX if I really wanted to and save the money up, but I would like to go to PAX in a business. Basically, I want to go to PAX based on pure monetary gain. Essentially, I want to be paid to go to PAX. That is a life goal of mine now. I just want to go there because I work for some place, and that's what I want to do. Yeah, that's one of my life goals that I've developed recently, and hopefully gave you enough time to tell me yours.
I think mine kind of is similar to yours in a way that I kind of just want, in a life goal of mine, is I just want to be a talent,
Yeah.
And I feel like I've said that before. I just want to be a talent. I don't care what I'm doing. I want to just be something that is sought after,
So your one true goal in life is to be sought after, essentially?
No, just something that's oh, what do you do? And you can just tell someone, dude, I'm just a talent.
Yeah, you
that
want
sounds
to be
weird, but
a talk show host or a comedian,
yeah, I think
or something
a talk
that.
show
Just,
or yeah.
You want to work based on talent, not based on I don't know. I would.
Merit.
Yeah, merit. Merit is a good way to say it. I was gonna say intellect, but that's not necessarily true because there's a lot of talented people that are also very, very smart.
Most of them, I'd say most of them are pretty smart.
I mean, you gotta hope. There are definitely some talented people that I'm like, man, you dumb.
Yeah, but just be something that, and I guess it's kind of like yours. You want to be paid to go to PAX. I want to be just paid to be a talent, and that sounds weird. That sounds stupid. I know, but like you said, a talk show. I think a talk show, maybe not a talk show, but a radio host or something.
Well, hey, if this ever makes any fucking money, you made your life goal. You're paid to talk to me. You're best friend. You're paid to talk to me over the internet. It's if this ever makes any money.
Yeah, and yeah, I guess it's like a podcaster would be cool, but I know that seems kind of limited in a way, you know?
I don't think necessarily. I think being a content creator would be the title that you're looking for, not necessarily a podcaster, because, yeah, we make a podcast right now, but also coming up, we will be making more videos and everything, and yeah, so I assume what you want to do is content creation in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, but content creation that people actually like.
Yeah.
Something that people are like, man, that's cool.
I think everyone kind of strives, if they're creating anything, they strive for people to like it. They're not just like, man, I really hope people fucking hate this.
Well, I mean, there's a lot of trolls out there that
That's true.
make whippy comments and stuff that just, man, they just want people to fucking hate it.
They want people to hate it, but also in their circles, they get recognition for how pissed off people get. They're like, man, did you see that Pepe the Frog meme that I put out that apparently made everybody think that he's racist? Yeah. And then everybody else is like, woo, good job. You turned a comic piece of comedy racist. Yay.
Yeah. Everyone strives to do that, though. I mean, that's also a life goal, obviously.
Yeah, it's to just essentially, like, eventually everything's off limits. You're like, I want to be the censor police. That's what I want to do. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, just being like a content creator is cool and all, but I feel like I had something else, so I totally forgot, and that's just fantastic.
I mean, it popped up in like random conversation the other day when I was over and we were getting a little schwasty that you recently decided to take a little side. What is it? You basically just decided that you might want to do some sort of stand-up comedy, like you wanted to go do some sort of comedy,
like an open mic.
Yeah, an open mic.
Yeah, I think an open mic would be a lot of fun, and I have like a lot of jokes, you know, that I've been writing over the past little while, but until you actually say the jokes in front of people, you don't know how they're really gonna be taken.
Well, it's so. I initially asked as life goals in general, but would you say that like doing this open mic is kind of like a smaller life goal, something that is more easily attainable? You just go to one of these like open mic places, you get up there, you do your set and everything, and then you're done. Would you say that that's a life goal essentially?
Yeah, I think that'd be. I don't know about a life goal, but maybe like a short-term goal, you know, because things might change. I might not want to do that. Like, I mean, I do want to do it now, and I want to do it soon-ish, you know, but I don't know. Yeah,
that's just a goal of yours is to eventually like get up on a stage and tell some jokes, hopefully make some people laugh.
Yeah, that's the goal right there, is hopefully make some people laugh.
Yeah, I think every comedian also just... These are kind of like blanket statements. It's just really anybody who makes anything just kind of hopes people enjoy it.
And you know, it really sucks because I had something earlier. I really had something, but I totally forgot.
You totally spaced on it? You're like, man, I really want to be a drug runner for the cartel. And then you totally forgot about it.
Yeah, because we were talking and we were like, you know, just having a conversation about this same thing right here, you know, right now, you know. And now I was like, huh. I had something cool, but I totally forgot.
It's always nice to hear in a conversation that you're like, oh man, I had a really sweet topic, but I forgot.
But our conversation got in the way. Our conversation took my attention elsewhere.
That definitely makes sense. Yeah. I mean, so here's something that we did recently. You and I, last night, we went and saw Pacific Rim, as this crazy segue that I'm making right now. We went and saw Pacific Rim Uprising. Did you? Here, let's talk for a second about what you thought of it. Because we didn't really talk that much after the movie. You were too busy doing some parkour. And I was pointing out graffiti on dumpsters that say hamsters and butts or whatever. So, yeah. What did you think about Pacific Rim Uprising? In just blanket statements, not really like not many spoilers.
Yeah, and what I'm going to say is not really spoiler, but it's like, I wish there was more robot fighting.
Yeah, there really wasn't that much. There was like maybe, I would say really only one fight. for the most part. There's two fights in like that entire movie, which, I mean, I just rewatched the first Pacific Rim, and there might be like 3 or 4 fights in it. But something else that I noticed in Pacific Rim Uprising versus the original Pacific Rim, and even in like other movies, so like Batman v Superman versus Justice League, is the change in tone based in sequels. So like the original Pacific Rim, directed by Guillermo del Toro, is like darker, more somber, more serious, and then Pacific Rim Uprising is very like laughable. It's very it has a lot of light. It doesn't have really like dark scenes. It's all about like the really like open lighting scenes and stuff like that. And
I think that's just how movies are these days, though.
Yeah, I'm not exactly happy about it, honestly. I don't know. It seems like everybody, unless you're making a movie that not many people are going to see, every movie is based in comedy, unless in like, I don't know, taking itself seriously, which, I mean, I do enjoy comedy, but for the most part, I go to movies to see, like, I would go and see specifically a comedy if I wanted that. I do like to see comedy integrated into larger movies that might have a little bit more of a serious point. I mean, the Marvel movies don't necessarily have that, but they do have comedy, like, intertwined in the movie, and at points, the movies, it's very serious. And I don't know, in Pacific Rim, there are parts in it where I was like, man, this would kind of be a big moment if everything wasn't just like uncomfortable kind of a thing. It wasn't all light, and it wasn't like jokes 10 seconds later. Like, I'm not gonna say who dies, but somebody dies. Nobody really gives a fuck other than like 10 seconds afterwards. They're like, oh man, that sucks. Literally next scene, nobody gives a fuck about it.
Yeah, and there were a few times last night that, you know, watching the movie, I specifically remember saying, I really hope there's not something funny after this.
Yeah, I don't think I should ever go into a movie and be like, man, I really hope there's not a punchline in 10 seconds.
Because, like, it was a really, like, you know, a big scene. And there was, someone was given a sweet speech, you know. And thankfully, there was no comedy afterwards. But it was like, I was just literally sitting there like, I hope there's no comedy after this.
Yeah, the whole movie has set you up to think, man, these big moments are being followed by shitty comedy.
Yeah, because it was like, this is gonna be a good scene if there's not a joke cracked after it.
Yeah, I don't know. This movie, if anybody's listening that's a Pacific Rim fan, it is definitely a departure from what Pacific Rim was. I enjoyed it, but looking this morning at its Rotten Tomatoes score of like 43%, I think, I'm like, yeah, it kind of earned that. I'm like, alright.
I thought it was a cool movie. I think that the whole like kaiju thing is cool and all. But what I would really love is a Pacific Rim, and I know it wouldn't be called that or whatever, but essentially, like, every country has these robots and they're fighting each other. I think that would have been cool.
Like wars? Like,
yes,
they're
yeah,
literally
like,
instead
of nukes, people are using Jaegers.
Oh, yeah, they kind of hint to that, like, in Pacific Rim Uprising. Not necessarily like World Wars used with Jaegers, but, I think that would be pretty interesting. I definitely don't think it'll ever happen, especially because I don't know how this movie's going to do, but they definitely set it up for a sequel, and it is 100% going to be basically the same thing, but slightly different.
But what I'm saying is, I don't want it to be affiliated with Pacific Rim, nothing. I just would like to see a movie where all countries have like 5 robots or whatever, and they're just fighting for world dominance, because there was 2 specific, and like you said, there was really 2 fights in that movie. Mm-hmm. There was robot versus robot and robot versus kaiju. And if I'm telling the truth, I really preferred the robot versus robot fighting. I thought that was a lot more interesting.
That was pretty cool, because kaiju, like, I don't know, kaiju have this like mystery about them. they can do anything essentially, but Robot v Robot is like, yeah, you have limitations based on what you can do with this hardware. So I think that's also what makes like the protagonists in Pacific Rim so interesting, because like in the first Pacific Rim, spoilers to like a 6-year-old fucking movie, at one point in time the kaijus like set off a fucking EMP, which you're just like, okay, that like, I'm glad that was written in. And then Gypsy Danger is actually analog, she's not digital, so she was not affected by the EMP. But it's like these kaiju just develop weird ass shit. Like the same like in that same fight scene, there is like one kaiju that used the EMP, the other one just randomly grows wings and has a baby. You're just like, what the fuck? Kaiju are very
what is
like,
going on here?
Yeah, exactly. Kaiju are like,
they're wild
I don't
cards.
know what the fuck's happening. Yeah, they're a wild card, and like the Jaegers are just like, yeah, they got fists, they got a gun,
a sword,
and they got
maybe?
a sword. That's about
it.
Yeah,
and the robot on robot action, in my opinion, was so cool. And I want to talk about what's going on with these names of these robots. They're just like throwing them together.
They're kind of weird. So the Gypsy, I think it was Gypsy Avenger, I'm assuming was, I don't know where the Avenger came from, but it was Gypsy Danger, like the original modified. So that kind of makes sense. But yeah, no, they definitely had some weird ass names for them.
And like going off of that, if you had a robot, and I'm sure you thought about this, if you had a robot, what would you like your robot to be? Like have?
What I would like it to have?
Like, yeah,
just as in,
you know,
like,
all these
weapon
robots,
systems and such?
Yeah, all these robots have like some different like names and stuff.
Yeah, so they each have like different properties. So there's the one with the like fucking cannonball that is piloted by 3 people in Pacific Rim Uprising. That one is pretty interesting. I don't know.
Titan Redeemer.
Yeah, they each are very interesting, and I'm glad that they actually make each one of these Jaegers unique, because otherwise it would just be kind of boring. Like when they talk about using the drones, I'm like, man, I already know that. Like, one, I will say that this movie's a little bit predictable, but 2, they talk about using these drones, and I'm like, wow, if they use these in this movie, that's going to get real boring, because they're going to be the fucking same things. It's just going to be kind of depressing. Like, there's no variety between any of them. But I don't know. I would like probably like a sword and a railgun, something that could do both long range and close range. Mid range being obviously the issue. In the first Pacific Rim, it's kind of interesting. They all basically go from about mid to short range. None of them really have any long range power, because they will use like Striker Eureka has missiles in its chest, but otherwise basically just punches kaiju to death, or has 2 blades that come out of its like hands. And for the most part, every one of the Jaegers follows that exactly. And I thought it was so interesting that none of them have a long-range weapon. I'm like, you basically put your saving grace in danger every time it fights, instead of just shooting it from far away.
Yeah, and I was thinking about it, and it's pretty obvious where I got like the idea of my robot, because I think it'd be awesome to have a robot that has a shield.
Are you talking about Captain America? Is that why you said it's pretty obvious?
I think, it's pretty obvious where.
And I like how anytime you bring up a shield, it's Captain America. Like when Destiny 2 was like, yeah, we've got the Sentinel class. Everyone's like, oh, so you could be Captain America. You're like, a shield is synonymous with Captain America. The new Kratos in God of War has a shield, so they're like, Captain America, ... with an axe.
But yeah, I think that would be super awesome.
That would be pretty cool. Yeah, not many of these Jaegers are actually defensive, which is really interesting. They're all like, I mean, it makes sense, obviously, because that's literally what they're made for, is to kill kaiju, but none of them are defensive. They're all like offensive. They have almost 0 defensive capabilities. And I would like to point out, in the first movie, Gypsy Danger has 2 plasma cannons, one for each hand. That's a fucking cannon, like it shoots, And in the second movie, in Pacific Rim Uprising, Gypsy Avenger has like a kinetic ray, and that's about it, which definitely led to some interesting moments in combat. But really, I was just like, is that useful? Are you really? Like, you're telling me that you switched out a like high-powered gun on both hands for like telekinesis? Interesting.
Well, and what it really makes me excited for is I've heard they're making another Armored Core. I'm not really sure, but I hope they do. Because every time I watch a movie like this, or, you know, a superhero movie or something, I always like want to like make my own, you know?
Every time you see a movie or anything, you're like, man, why isn't there a fucking game where I get to make my own and enjoy this world, essentially?
Yeah, I think that a Pacific Rim game would be super cool.
I'm honestly kind of surprised that hasn't happened. I guess this is a pretty decent segue into another one of my topics. So what I think would be a really cool game is like a Pacific Rim in VR, where you are essentially like, you pilot Gypsy Danger, Striker Rika, whatever, and you have to fight kaiju in different scenarios and stuff. I think that would be really cool. That would be an interesting video game. But the actual topic I wanted to talk about was basically advancements in video games, like slash VR. So video games are seemingly going more and more toward virtual reality, with everyone trying to put out games. Like, obviously the technology is very like, it's in its infancy right now, but in our lifetimes we will more than likely see more games shift toward virtual reality, because games are essentially like pure escapism. It's just to get us out of our everyday life doing something else, essentially, and virtual reality is the one way that you can really get immersed in that. And I wanted to know how you feel about games becoming more and more realistic, and also virtual reality, because I don't know, it's kind of like, a lot of people might say the art of video games is what needs to be preserved, which I also believe, but you can also make really beautiful games that aren't necessarily realistic in VR and stuff like that. Like Moss, I've heard is pretty amazing, but I don't know, it's also, with video games being essentially escapism, you playing these video games, you obviously know they're not real. If it was real, it wouldn't necessarily be the same. That would just be your life. You wouldn't be like escaping your everyday kind of boring job by playing a video game. So how do you feel about video games consistently advancing and eventually are going to look incredibly lifelike?
I'm all for the advancements of video games, like graphics and engines that run well, and, you know, just stuff like that. I'm not a really fan of VR. I'm just not.
Yeah.
I don't really want to have to wear a headset. And that's pretty much my biggest deal.
I think in certain
if I could do it without the
situations,
headset, that'd be
cool.
great.
Yeah, the headset's kind of interesting.
No, I'm not discounting the coolness factor of it. I think it's all really cool. I just don't want to wear a headset while I'm playing video games.
Yeah, there are definitely a lot of interesting stories where they end up doing it, and I'm like, man, that would be so dope. Like Ready Player One or Sword Art Online, the way that they, like, these are just people getting stuck or playing video games in virtual reality, and I'm like, man, that'd be dope.
Yeah, and see, I would totally be down for that. For other people, for me, I don't really care. I don't want a headset. I just want to play. I just want a controller or a mouse, and I just want to play.
Yeah, you don't need you essentially don't need the technology to advance. You just want, I mean, you do, but you don't want the technology of, like, the analog technology. So you're cool with the controller, but you still want, like, 4K graphics. You want everything to look more lifelike.
Yeah, I think that's cool. I think it's great for advancement, but like if you were saying, if it all goes to the shit, I totally just lost my track. If all video games go towards VR, like, I'm not gonna be happy about that.
Yeah, I don't think I would necessarily be incredibly happy either. I think it's an interesting concept. I also don't think it's ever gonna happen, for the most part.
Yeah, and I don't know. I don't like the headset.
You're really harping on this headset. You really hate this headset.
I don't know.
I
It just.
don't think either of us have necessarily like really tried it, as in like PSVR, Oculus Rift. So I don't want to shit on it or anything, but yeah. If you don't like the headset, you don't like the headset. Whatever.
And see, here's my biggest thing, is I'm a big guy. I sweat sometimes. It's actually gotten a lot less, which is cool. But it's like, I don't need that extra layer of something on my head.
Which is cool.
No, it is cool. I enjoy
Yeah, I'm
it.
pretty sure everybody really likes sweating less. Sweating is like universally detested. I don't know anybody who's like, man, wish I could be sweating right now. That'd be dope.
You never know.
Yeah, there's a fucking just one weird ass dude who for some reason just wants to sweat his ass off.
You never know.
Yeah. So, both of us own Nintendo Switches, and it's gaining a lot of traction. Everybody's getting their games on Switch and everything. But I think both of us are pretty much in the camp of who cares kind of a thing. Like, how often do you play your Switch?
I've owned it almost since launch, and I've played 36 minutes.
Yeah, you played like Breath of the Wild for a little bit, right? And you're just waiting for Super Smash Bros. Essentially.
That's all I'm waiting for.
Yeah, I have a Switch, and I have several games on it. I played a bunch of different games. I played Breath of the Wild. I played Cave Story. I played Xenoblade Chronicles. I bought Azure Strike Gunvolt, the Striker Pack. I have a decent amount of games, Wonder Boy Remastered, but I, like, personally, it's a great console, and I really enjoy it, and I will buy, like, exclusives and everything on it, but I don't understand everybody's, like, I don't understand the allure to getting everything on Switch. Everybody's like, man, if this game came on Switch, I'd totally buy a Switch just to play it on that console. Like, people are, like, freaking out about, like, Ark.
Well, because you can, like,
Switch.
ride the bus and stuff. You can ride the bus.
Yeah.
You can be outside and play. I get the allure. I played the shit out of my Game Boy. But you know the only game I played on my Game Boy is?
Pokemon.
And I'm not really in the Nintendo camp, as people say. I don't care about Mario. I don't really care about Link and Zelda. I just don't really care.
Yeah, I'm not a big like Nintendo fanboy either. I think a lot of great games come out of their
if you ask me this, I'm not really a fanboy over any like Nathan Drake, Aloy, like.
Yeah, you're not like an
Master
exclusive
Chief.
fanboy towards characters.
I don't really care.
Yeah, you just like games. You're not necessarily about the character.
Yeah, and I think that's the best way to describe it is I don't really care what game I'm playing as long as it's fun. I don't really care about the character I'm playing as long as it's fun.
Yeah, that makes sense.
And if I'm being really 100% honest, I'd rather make my own character.
Yeah, me too. Character creation is a big fucking thing for me in video games.
I'd rather be running around with my character instead of Nathan Drake. I'd rather be running around with my character instead of Link. I just don't care about these characters.
I really like character customization with the exception of stories based specifically around a certain character. So like Aloy's story is her story. If you got to make your own character, it just wouldn't be the same.
Why not?
Also,
though?
You're not a big fan of story. Then
you're right. It's not Aloy's story, it's my story. It's more like personalized. I don't know. I don't care about these characters.
Yeah, it makes sense. You're not a big character guy. You're the gameplay is king, whereas I'm the story guy, the story and characters guy.
Yeah, I don't really care about the story unless it's really good, and that hasn't happened in a long time.
Yeah, in your opinion.
In my opinion, 100% in my opinion.
It wasn't a blanket statement. You're just like, I'm here to
It's not a blanket statement.
Fucking all games stories suck ass.
I respect the shit out of people saying that like Uncharted is the best or whatever, you know. I just don't care.
Yeah, you're like, yeah, I'm good.
I wish I did. I really do. I wish I didn't put 1,000 hours into DC. I wish I didn't put 1,000 hours into Destiny. I wish I didn't put 1,000 hours into Paragon.
Speaking of Paragon, since we got on that topic, did you hear about Epic releasing the assets for Paragon on the Unreal Engine?
I heard something about that.
Yeah.
I really haven't looked into it. So.
Essentially, they released for free. Everyone who's developing in the Unreal Engine can use the Paragon assets. So a decent amount of people are like, oh, there's a big community for this. It's possible that somebody in the community of Paragon will essentially recreate Paragon. How would you feel about that? Or do you think that's like desecration? You just want it to die?
I mean, if it's back and it's still the same game, I don't care who develops it. I don't care if it's Epic. I don't care if it's Daybreak. I don't care if it's Microsoft. I don't care if it's Sony.
Yeah, you just want it back? You're like, if it came back. So do you want it back the exact same? Or do you want it, like, if they brought it back and it was slightly different, would you still play it because it's Paragon?
Well, here's the thing: is it would be slightly different, and here's why: is because about like the game's gone through like 4 iterations where it's changed, you know, some more than others, but the last iteration, it kind of was a consensus that no one fucking liked it.
Yeah, I remember both you and a friend of ours, you guys are like really, really big into Paragon, spend a decent amount of money in it, and you guys play it like an obnoxious amount. Like, I will never understand that. But you guys loved it, and I remember once this update came out, you guys you stopped. You're like, nah, not happening.
And then we started playing again because it's overall, there's no MOBA like it.
Yeah, I really thought that was interesting that you guys love that MOBA so much. And in my head, I'm like, oh, there's so many MOBAs, but I never, like, I didn't play Paragon enough to understand it that well. So, I don't know.
Well, see, you don't even need to play it to understand it. Just look at it. It just looks better.
Is that why you like it over other MOBAs? Is because it's, like, slightly realistic visual style, or was it the gameplay?
I like the fact that it's over the shoulder, rather than like third person camera looking down at your character, like from a side view, like League of Legends in Dota is.
Yeah, that's
I don't
top
like
down.
that.
Yeah,
top down, but like, you know, off to the edge a little bit different.
Yeah, I think Paladins isn't necessarily over the shoulder. It's like directly behind you.
Yeah, and that's what I mean, not necessarily over the shoulder like the Division and stuff, because that's more like aiming.
Yeah.
But I guess if you do have an aiming character, they do kind of put the character off to the side a little bit so that your reticle is in the middle. Which you'd say, oh, that sounds really terrible. Please don't do that. But it played out really nicely. And the game, like, it just felt more personal when you kill someone. And that's how I explained to my buddy. We were talking about it, I'm like, well, why don't we play Smite? Well, why don't we play League of Legends? It's like, well, one, the art assets on Paragon are just so much better. They look so much cooler. Everyone looks cool. You know, it doesn't look all super cartoony.
Yes.
It's like the PUBG versus Fortnite thing, except for Paragon's not as realistic, you know?
So essentially what brought you guys and kept you guys in Paragon was its art style?
I mean, yeah, you could say that. And the combat is better. Because, granted, you are clicking X and square or whatever. I can't even remember. I haven't played it in months. Because they said they were shutting down and I jumped off because I was like, I can't handle this anymore. It's just like, it feels like you're actually fighting, you know, rather than like, oh crud, I have to hit square to do an attack. I mean, you are doing that, but it feels more combo-esque.
Yeah, so if let's say somebody like a fan recreates Paragon, you guys are in. Even if it's slightly different, you guys are in essentially because of that art style and the world that was already created.
If it runs well, then yeah, I'll play it. I'm down for that. You know, but if it's all choppy and well, fan-made like PUBG, no, I don't really want to be a part of that.
Yeah, if it's buggy, you're not into it. You want that seamless gameplay, but also the art.
Yeah, and there were problems with Paragon for sure. The last few months of it turned into a team deathmatch because how they made the game, how they were, quote, evolving the game. It made it more into a team deathmatch with card system rather than a MOBA, and that turned a lot of people off.
Yeah, it wasn't about taking down towers, it was about taking down, like, your opponents.
Well, once you take down your opponents, they're fucking gone for 35 minutes, so you can do whatever you want.
Oh yeah, you just
But-
eliminate your opponent and then you can easily take out their tower. So it's very light MOBA elements, but mostly just a battle royale.
Yeah, and it was just a lot of fun. And I know a lot of MOBA purists out there didn't like it as much because it wasn't a pure MOBA. And you ask me why? I have no idea. I don't know why. I can't tell you why. And no one probably could tell you why. It's just different, and it's a lot of fun. But
Yeah, there are a decent amount of
They
people
went
who
off.
really, really loved Paragon, and I think it's sad that it went away. We covered this before, but yeah, I just wanted to get your opinion on how you felt about like these Paragon art assets getting given to anybody who wants to do anything with them, essentially. So
now I did say earlier that I don't care. Like in the other thing, I don't care if Daybreak makes it or develops or whatever. No, I don't want Daybreak doing anything with any more video games.
why is that?
Just because, well, DC Universe Online was like developed by SOE, Sony Online Entertainment, and for a while it was going downhill, and then I don't know what happened or whatever, but they sold it or somehow Daybreak got their hands on it, and it just started plummeting towards the earth faster than you can imagine.
Oh, so you think... I thought you were going to take that in a different direction because you're like, oh, it started to go downhill. And you're like, yeah, and then they took the reins and just really rammed it into the ground.
No, that's what they did. They just destroyed it.
Yeah, I didn't play DC as much as you. I played a little bit. And recently I'm like, man, kind of got a hankering to play that again. But I don't think I ever will. Especially because I picked up
I have a
Ni no
hankering
Kuni.
to play it all the time too, and I put it on. I play it for like 10 minutes. I'm like, my God, this is not what it used to be.
Yeah, that makes sense. It comes back to a topic that we've consistently covered in this is alienating your original audience by making something like more accessible to everybody. It's really not a good idea, was in our opinion.
But sometimes it is a good idea when you want to get the gameplay out there. And I guess this isn't a great way to say it, but like how Monster Hunter World, when that first was announced and coming out, there were OGs that were like, oh, this is not the same, this is totally different and stuff like that. But then they got their hands on it, like, oh, this is actually really good. This is you can tell this is still Monster Hunter.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that scenario
But
is more
then-
apples and oranges because they didn't necessarily alienate their original audience. They kept just
but-
enough for them, but made it more accessible.
The only way you know you're going to alienate your original audience is when you alienate them.
Yeah.
You never know.
You have to wait until it comes out because I imagine initially, like, everybody who plays a game like DC, they're like, man, we're gonna make this so much better for essentially the audience, the demographic we're going for, and like everyone who played it were just like, nah, not my DC UO.
And I'm sure that me getting older or something has to do with, like, I don't play as much Call of Duty as I did when I was 16 years old. I loved it a lot more then, but I feel like it has something to do with that, you know?
How, since you're a big you're a big fan of Modern Warfare 2, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. How do you feel about this rumor that Modern Warfare 2 is only going to come with single player, no multiplayer,
How do they plan
and
on selling
release for
copies?
$25?
How do they plan on selling copies?
So that, in your opinion, it's useless unless it has the multiplayer?
I promise you, if this is a real rumor and it does come out with this, it's selling 10,000 copies. Max.
I think it'll sell. I don't think it's gonna sell 10,000 copies. I think it's gonna sell more than that, but it will not sell as well as they hope it will. Because I know a
No,
large
it will.
allure
I
to it.
swear, Vaughn. The 10,000 people that will buy it will get it and be like, why the fuck doesn't this have online? Because they're not as in the game universe as we are.
There's a decent amount of people that want it for
Okay,
its
okay.
campaign.
No one, I promise you, no one wants it for just the campaign.
Well, actually, yeah. I mean, now that I say that, I think about it, and I'm like, well, if you wanted it just for its campaign, you could just play it. But I mean, it's gonna look
It's
better.
a 6-hour shitty campaign. It's really not that
A
good.
6 hours, in quotes, shitty campaign for $25 to $30.
And it's not even that. If this game was new or whatever with this 6-hour campaign and no one knew about this Modern Warfare. What is this? And it never had online or whatever. But the fact that it doesn't have online turns people off more than just it being $25.
Yeah, because that's a large part of Call of Duty. That's a huge.
That is like the only part of Call of Duty.
Yeah, it seems like it's like the silent majority of people who want it online. Because I've heard a lot of people who are like, "Oh yeah, I want the campaign," but those must be like the really active like minority. They're just like, "Yeah, I really want the campaign," and everybody who like wants to play online, they're just like, "I'm not gonna dignify this with a response."
I'll give it to you right now. There will be way more than 10,000 copies sold, but half of the copies that are sold, like I said, are not in this universe. I just saw, oh man, Modern Warfare 2, this is my favorite Call of Duty when I was younger. I'm going to buy it. And oh man, I have it on my PS4 now or PS5 or whatever, whenever it plans on coming out. Oh, where's the online? Because that's the only thing I fucking did.
Yeah, it's going to be the people who, they're just not necessarily educated consumers. I mean, not educated in a traditional sense. Obviously, they might be like fucking intellectuals. I'm just talking about people who don't know what that game is purchasing the game.
No, see, they do know what the game is, but they don't know what the new version is.
Oh yeah, that's what I meant. Not specifically that.
Yeah. I know. I was just clearing it up, but it's just like, my gosh, dude, it's one of the best games of all time in my opinion for multiplayer. Can you not just give us what we want? Why is it so difficult?
So you personally, it could release with just multiplayer, and you'd be fine with that for $25?
I would prefer it to release with just multiplayer, so I don't have the stupid gigabytes of the campaign on my hard drive. Yeah,
that's actually fair. When Modern Warfare Remaster came out, yeah, there was a lot of, like, at the time I worked at GameStop, and there were so many people who were like, wait, this is like really fucking huge. Like, this is ridiculous. I mean, they were initially annoyed that you had to buy Call of Duty Infinite Warfare to buy it, but they were also super annoyed that it was so huge because it had this decent campaign.
And you know what? I was one of those people that bought it. I bought Modern Warfare Remastered, or I bought the Infinite Warfare, whatever, with the special price or whatever, $100 or something like that, just to play Modern Warfare Online, the first Modern Warfare, and I didn't even really like that one. So yeah, I'd spend $60 on Modern Warfare 2 online. Just for the online. Easy.
Yeah, makes sense.
Easy.
That
and I don't want the campaign because I don't want it taking up space on my hard drive.
That definitely makes sense. I mean, the online is, I think it'll still take a decent amount, but yeah, the campaign is really good. It's what's going to be the largest portion of it.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. It's irritating. If it's true. If it's not just a rumor. You know what else I would love to be remastered?
What?
And or just a new version. Give me some MAG, bro.
I never played MAG. You're really into the like super online games, which I am not. So yeah, MAG was like that was your thing. You really enjoyed it.
I played MAG. It was so fun. And you know what? The gameplay was pretty shitty, but it was just a fun experience.
Isn't it essentially really just like online multiplayer only, large, like open map with just a shitload of people shooting each other?
Yeah, I think it had like something, and it was a little misleading. The whole like 240 players in one match, you know? It was a little misleading because it was like 240 characters split up into 3 sections on one map. You couldn't get to the other sections, but there were 200 whatever people. You know?
So it was like a loophole.
I don't want to say a loophole, but it was misleading for sure.
That's definitely a loophole. They're like, the loophole is that they're all in these different sections. You're just like, I can't get to them, but they're there. They exist.
Yeah, see right here, this says MAG received an award from Guinness World Records as most players in console FPS with 256 players in one match.
That's pretty crazy. That's super crazy. Yeah. Did they still hold that record, or
I'm not 100% sure.
They just got the record.
They're probably the only ones that have tried for that record.
There's fucking weird ass records that people hold out there. It kind of blows my freaking mind.
Now, I'm trying to find what MAG stands for, because I'm pretty sure it stands for, like, Massive Assault, something like that. I'm almost sure that it stands for something.
Yeah, it's definitely an acronym.
Yeah, for sure.
For sure. Yeah.
Talk for, like, a few more seconds. I'm trying to find
Yeah,
this.
coming back to our original, like, Switch conversation, or not necessarily the original, but the Switch conversation. So it's also, like, me and you, we both listen to roughly the same podcast, with you kind of dropping off on Kind of Funny Games Daily, and there have been people who have written into them being like, hey...
Oh, I found... One sec, I found it. It's called Massive Action Game, MAG.
Wow, they really went out of their way to...
Yeah,
to
I was trying
that.
to buff that up a little bit with massive action, or like massive,
Yeah, I honestly thought that
sure.
was what it was going to be, because I was just like, oh, pessimistic view of it. It's going to be something fucking stupid. But I also was like, oh, but it might be really awesome. It might have a really cool name.
Yeah, I for some reason I was thinking it was going to be something super awesome, and it wasn't.
Yeah, you're like multi-platform, Eclexian, like Gigantosaur. Like, man, that would be dope.
Something cool like that, but nope.
Like Elex,
not at
that
all.
game is an acronym. It's like eclectic, lavish, something Zennial. It's crazy. I can't believe that they... Also, not a terrible game, what everybody might say. But, for the price. Wait for it to go down in price. But,
So you're talking about podcasts we listen to and stuff like
yeah,
that? What was that about?
podcasts. So we both listen to, or you used to listen, I still do, listen to Kind of Funny Games Daily, and there were a lot of people who like wrote into them talking about basically like why every time a Switch game comes up, they're like, man, this is a great game to play on a plane, and people are like, could you not say that? Because I don't, like, that's not my experience with video games. I don't play them on planes. I don't play them on trains. Do you think necessarily games coverage should cover them that way, even though that's the way that they play these games? Should they be like, oh, the majority of my audience does not? They play them when they get home. So should I reference, hey, this is a good game to play at home? It's not necessarily something to take with you everywhere.
I think they need to find, not an acronym, but like a equal to of flying on a plane could be your equal to taking a shit.
Yeah.
It's something that you don't need to, and this is what it was. I remember Greg talking about this. It's not a game that's going to take a lot of time. It's not a game that you're going to have to super think about. It's not, I'm pretty sure Greg was talking about that. So, I mean, you want to take a long dump or something? Here's a game that'd be perfect for that.
Yeah.
And it's the Switch, so perfect.
I know, right? Everyone, like, before I quit GameStop, my boss specifically, like, told a customer and myself that the greatest thing about the Switch is that he can be playing Mario, have to go take a shit, so he takes it with him and plays it while he's taking a dump.
I used to do that when I was younger with the Game Boy, because I was freaking obsessed with Pokemon. And
then
speaking
you
of
dropped it in the
Pokemon,
toilet, and you're like, fuck.
No, I've never done that. I'm not a freaking animal. What are you doing? No,
You just wash it off, you do the, like, blow-off thing, and then play again.
You pull out the cartridge, you blow into the cartridge.
You're like, seems good.
No, I can't wait for the Pokemon on the Switch. That'll be cool, I hope.
What?
I hope they don't fuck it up.
What do you want from this Pokemon? Do you want it to be the traditional Pokemon, like, top-down JRPG, or do you want it to be, like, an open-world 3D Pokemon?
I'm very much
I guess what I'm asking is, are you a Pokemon purist?
I'm a purist. That's literally the word I was looking for. I'm a purist. I didn't play any of the 3DS game. I did play some of the 3DS games, like Omega Ruby, just because it was a remastered Ruby, and I liked Ruby.
Yeah, that's my fucking shit. Ruby and Sapphire.
But
so good.
Emerald, man.
Emerald was so much better. I can't believe this whole not making the third generation thing, or the third in the generation. That's so fucking annoying to me. Like, just make it. But they're always the best.
But like the one on the islands, I can't remember if it was
Sun and Moon.
Fucking X and Y or Sun and Moon. Yeah, like it's just too much for me.
Yeah,
it's too much for my old heart to handle.
You want the nostalgia feel when you play Pokemon. You don't want it to be like the newest Pokemon, essentially.
And it doesn't have to be shitty looking. Like, it doesn't have to be Pokemon Yellow, which, granted, not shitty looking. I think it looks awesome.
Yeah, still not bad
It
pixel
could-
art. I fucking love pixel art. That's my jam.
Very much could be black and white. It's kind of 3D-ish, not really 3D-ish, you know.
So what you would enjoy is essentially a like fire red kind of graphics, like leaf green, fire red, come into the Switch, top down, like.
If I'm being totally honest, whatever game this is, if it looked like Fire Red, I'd be fucking ecstatic.
Yeah, that really gets your dick hard, as some people may say.
The jump from when I was playing Red or Blue, I think it was Blue, to when I got my first Fire Red, I was like, this is pretty much the same game, but I cannot stop playing this. It's gorgeous.
It was a huge fucking leap, yeah, because you got Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, and you're like, man, this art style is fucking amazing. That was like, in my opinion, pinnacle of Pokemon's art style. That's my favorite generation. And then they took that art style and made the originals again.
I really liked the Diamond and Pearl because it was, on the DS. It looked really nice.
Do you like that? Are you saying that's your favorite generation, or is that just your favorite art style?
No, fuck no. My favorite generation is the second generation.
Yeah, so Silver, Crystal, Gold.
Yep. That's my favorite.
That's your favorite? My favorite is, the third generation, Emerald, Sapphire, Ruby.
Third's awesome, dude. And the thing I loved about the third was in the first two generations, there was always one starter that I was like, I'm not doing this.
See, I know, right? That totally makes fucking Chikorita. Who the fuck picks Chikorita?
I've never started with Chikorita, and I will never start.
I picked her
once.
There are people out there I picked her once, and it was fucking terrible.
But I can't do it.
So,
but I guess in the first one, I didn't really want to choose Charmander. I don't know. There's something about when I was in like 5th grade and everyone chose Charmander. I was like, fuck Charmander.
Yeah, everyone like really, they fucking creamed in their pants over Charizard. You're just like, pfft, I like Wartortle.
Blastoise, and I like Blastoise and Venusaur.
Venusaur is so fucking ugly. I hate like Bulbasaur. One of my favorite Pokemon ever. I have a plush of Bulbasaur.
I think Venusaur looks mean.
I'm looking at it right now. Bulbasaur, Ivysaur. Fucking amazing. They look so amazing. And then Venusaur looks like an autistic tiger. It looks so fucking stupid. I hate it.
I'm gonna tell everyone listening to this that Vaughn is the type of guy that will play the entire game and not evolve a Pokemon because he prefers one's looks.
Because fucking Ivysaur is so cool. Ivysaur looks so dope. Charizard looks so dope. Fucking Blastoise looks so dope. Venusaur looks like a fucking idiot. I hate Venusaur so fucking much.
But what I was saying about the third generation is any 3 of those starters I will take any day.
They're great.
They're some of the best starters that I've ever got to use.
They're fucking amazing. Chikorita, not Chikorita, Torchic, Trico, and Mudkip. Those guys are my fucking jam.
And Mudkip's one of my favorite Pokemon of all time.
They were also very well balanced. I will say that. Like, Chikorita, you get your fucking shit rocked all the time. Like, the third gym, somebody uses Bite, and you're just like, are you fucking kidding me? I'm fucking dead.
Chikorita was just hot garbage.
Yeah, Chikorita just fucking sucked ass. Literally only chose her once, regretted it so much that I, like, put her in the PC and used Apom all the time because I really like Apom.
And that's the thing that kind of sucks about Pokemon, but is also kind of a cool factor. Is I remember talking to people, and they're like, "Yeah, when in like Silver, yeah, even in school, dude, Pokemon was a big deal." When you talk to people, like, "Yeah, I have a level," in there, like, "Oh yeah, I've reached the Elite Four. I have a level 40 Blastoise." A level 4, or let's say Silver, I have a level 40, everything's level 40,
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm like, oh man, when I got to the Elite Four, I had a level 84 Typhlosion.
Yeah, you had one extremely leveled up Pokemon and all the rest were trash.
Yeah, and that's just kind of how I always played Pokemon. It was like, okay.
So do you think the new like EXP share is kind of a cop-out? Because like the new EXP share just shares EXP among all your Pokemon, not just one.
I absolutely love it and hate it at the same time.
Yeah, it makes things so much
it's
easier. So
it's
you're
a
like, I
total
really
cop
like
out.
it.
It's a total
Yeah,
cop
but
out.
also you feel like a little piece of shit for having it all the time. You're like, man, this makes the game so much easier that I feel like it's a handicap.
It really almost is not a handicap. It's a handicap to all the people you're battling, because you're like, oh man, this is the first time that my combustion has died, or my mudkip or whatever has died. Oh, I have this level 30 fucking Pidgeotto in here. Cool.
Yeah, I will say this has nothing to do with like specifically what we're talking about right now, I guess.
Okay, let's be honest. I have no idea what we were talking about, because then we went off on this tangent about Pokemon.
Oh yeah, no, I was gonna still keeping it on Pokemon. The third generation is my favorite because I feel like that's when they got the most creative with it and brought in like sci-fi elements versus just kind of like the mysticism and just essentially earthly elements that were in the first two. That's when they brought in like fucking Deoxys, Rayquaza, fucking Latios and Latias. It was so dope.
Okay, Rayquaza is one of the coolest legendaries.
Rayquaza is so fucking cool. Everyone's like, oh, he's like a sky dragon. I'm like, bullshit. He's like, that's a fucking space dragon. He's a fucking alien. You don't tell me that he's just like a normal ass Pokemon. He's like Deoxys, Regice, and Registeel. They're all fucking aliens.
If you played the game, like the whole circumstances of him showing up are pretty sciencey.
Yeah, I feel like that's why I love the third generation so much, is because like it's what brought sci-fi into it. And I enjoy mysticism. I enjoy like the Middle Ages, kind of like medieval stuff, and I enjoy earthly elements. Like I like to play realistic games, but sci-fi is my fucking shit. Like
I guess if we're being totally honest here, Unknown were kind of the first like, whoa, what is this? But again, that's kind of like,
yeah, they weren't.
Old.
That's still like mysticism though. That's like magic. You're just like, oh yeah, it's like reading hieroglyphs and shit. You're just like, whatever. Fuck Unknown. They just bullshit Pokemon. You always thought you get the full alphabet and then nothing cool happens. You always thought something cool would happen. Nothing.
You always thought like fucking Mewtwo, Charizard, Blastoise combination would show up.
Yeah, right? You always think that it's gonna give you like
something
fucking
cool.
Unlimited Master Balls, rare candy, just something really dope will happen. And it's like, just kidding. The Unknown are just bullshit Pokemon that look like letters.
And they can't do shit.
Yeah, they can't
They
fucking
were
do
so
anything.
bad.
They're like, I've got Psybeam.
They were so bad.
Cool. That's super awesome. I just go fucking kill myself because all I have left is my Unknown.
That I caught because I thought it was gonna help me.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't.
So the original topic that I had of this was what you want for the Pokemon on the Switch. So you just want like essentially old but new. You want it to be old as in like Pearl, essentially like art style, but a new generation.
This is what I want. This would never fucking happen.
I know exactly what you're gonna say. You're gonna say
I want all of the games combined.
What? I definitely
want
didn't
all
expect
of the
that.
games combined. Kind of like how Silver has both Kanto and Johto. I want all of them combined into some story.
Are you gonna be super pissed if this game comes out and it's like fucking, it's like Coliseum or Gale of Darkness? It's just a shit
If
Pokemon
it is
game
like
on
that,
console.
If it is that, let's just thank Nintendo that they got Super Smash Bros. Because I would just snap my Switch.
Yeah,
in
you're
half.
like, I don't even give a fuck. I'm not gonna even get anything for this. I'm just gonna kill this fucking Switch.
I mean, they're so lucky that Super Smash Bros. Is coming out for it. Because it's not even a joke. We would have made it on our YouTube channel. We would have made a video. I'd snap that thing in half. I don't care.
I love that fucking Gale of Darkness Pokemon would just make you snap your fucking Switch. You give zero fucks.
You know what would be really cool though is, you remember the movie? I can't remember which one. It had Celebi in it, and this really makes me want to go back and watch all of them.
Yeah, I know which one you're talking about. It's like the third movie. I always forget
with the
its
dark
name.
Pokemon in it?
Yeah, fucking Dark Tyranitar. Oh, that made me
Dark
love
Tyranitar. Was the coolest freaking thing.
It got so much bigger. Like Gale of Darkness literally was only like they were like, let's fucking make a Pokemon game based entirely on dark Pokemon, and you're like, wow, in theory, that was really cool. You guys just fuck that up beyond recognition. It's so bad.
Yeah, in theory, it was awesome.
I hate those games so much. Fucking Colosseum, like, they're not terrible games, but they're not Pokemon games. They're, like, just trash. Fucking bootleg Pokemon games.
I always wanted those dark Pokeballs that the dude was catching Pokemon in to turn them dark.
Yeah, and they immediately made them, like, 10 times stronger, and you're like, why? They're angry.
Okay, see, in the game, I wouldn't want it to make it, like, 10 times stronger, maybe, like, a literal, like, 10% stronger or something.
Yeah.
But the whole dark, like, version, making them maybe a little darker in color, I think that would be super awesome.
Pokemon Forever. That's the one with Celebi.
Oh, yeah, is that
Yeah,
it?
yeah, Pokemon Forever. I just looked it up. Good movie. Destiny Deoxys, in my opinion, is the best. But I also really like Lucario and the Mystery of Mew because you get to see how they got Pokemon before they had Pokeballs. They just fucking made friendships and had magic.
The one I watched the most, I think, was 2000. No, not 2000. Which one was it? The one with Entei.
I think it was Pokemon 2000. Maybe. I know which one you're talking about. Yeah, when Entei like fucking kidnaps that girl.
The third movie.
Yeah.
I don't know why I watched that one so much. It really wasn't good.
It's not terrible.
I didn't like it. Maybe that's because I watched it 1,000 times, but I did not like it.
Oh my god. Okay. You have to see the fucking Rotten Tomato scores for the Pokemon movies. What do you think the Rotten Tomato score for Pokemon Forever is?
Okay, now here's the question. When did Rotten Tomatoes come out?
It existed at this time.
Okay, well then it's probably somewhere in the 50%.
You think it's 50%?
Probably.
Pokemon Forever has less of a score than Batman v Superman. It has a 14% score. Let's check Batman v Superman. I think it has 40%.
Oh man, the Pokemon 3, the movie, has a 22%. Oh man.
I don't understand. Like, when you're a kid, you think these movies are so fucking good. Rotten Tomatoes.
But then again,
Batman v Superman
not
has
kids,
27%.
right?
That's still better than fucking Pokemon Forever.
But then again, they're not kids that are like reviewing this. They're grown ass adults.
That makes sense. I wonder what the new like Pokemon movie. It's Rockymon. What the fuck? Rotten Tomatoes score is with the whole like fucking Pikachu talks. It's fucking stupid.
No
I fucking
way,
hate that
dude.
so much.
If that was on my Switch, I'd snap it in half.
Yeah.
I'm such a purist, and it hurts me so much because I want to play Sun and Moon. I can't get past it, dude.
It's not happening for you. You're like,
It's
I'd
not
rather
happening.
snap my Switch.
I'd rather snap my Switch than
They're like,
play
you
it.
don't even have to snap your Switch. I'd rather snap it. I'd rather fucking snap
But-
it.
Can we also talk? And I know we're running long, and this has very much been a fucking Pokemon-centric podcast for the last half
It's cool.
hour.
If somebody listened this long, they obviously want to listen to us talk.
Can we talk about the fact that the movies and the TV shows always made at least one Pokemon seem so much cooler?
Oh, yeah. Definitely. Like fucking Absol. I forgot when he was so cool. He's in one of the movies. He seemed so fucking cool, and then you actually got him, and you're like, man, this Pokemon's fucking dumb. He can't do shit.
Well,
He's just got a blade
and you
on his
remember,
head.
I genuinely think it was like the second or third episode of the original TV show. That kid that had Sandshrew with the whip.
Oh yeah. I had that on VHS, and we used to watch that all the time.
Yeah, because it made Sandshrew seem so freaking cool.
Yeah, and it eventually, I think, evolved into Sandslash, but yeah, he controlled it entirely with the whip. That was so dope. That was so fucking cool.
And then you go use Sandshrew in the game, and it's like, oh man,
Yeah,
this is not
you're like,
holding
who the
up.
fuck uses Sandshrew? This
And then
is
I
the
remember there was a-
Chikorita of fucking ground type Pokemon.
I remember, I think there was an episode where they made Bidoof or Bidoof's, like,
Bidoosh?
the evolution. whichever one's the evolution, it made that one look so cool and strong. And then you go use them in the game, and you're like, oh, I'm gonna tear my hair out if I lose one more battle.
Yeah, they always make them seem so cool, and you're like, man, I really feel like you guys just use this movie as like a marketing technique. Like, you guys just wanted to see how many people are gonna catch fucking Sandshrew or whatever.
I wonder if they have that kind of statistics.
I doubt it. I don't think they give a fuck. They're not like, oh, let's see what the most captured Pokemon is, because it'd probably just be the cute ones. Everyone fucking catches the cute Pokemon.
Yeah. I don't know why. It just annoyed me that they made Pokemon so cool in the show and then so just hot garbage in the game.
Just hot garbage.
Like, and I wish, and I understand this is just how video games, or not video games, but this is how Pokemon works, but I wish there was some sort of randomization to the game.
What do you mean? It's pretty random.
Like, I'm talking about the fact that, like, this Pokemon, this Charmander cannot get better than this.
Oh, they have those.
Because,
that's what the whole, like, the Eevee Pokemon or whatever
well,
is.
yeah, but in order for, and this makes sense, but in order for Charmander to be the strongest Charmander possible, it has to be Charizard. If that makes any sense.
That makes no sense.
I want a Charmander that's as strong as Charizard.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah, you wanted stats to be possibly, like, better than Charizard, or as good, if not better than Charizard.
And I mean, it makes sense. Once you grow up, you get stronger or whatever. But man, I want this Pokemon over its evolution, you know?
Yeah, you're like, well, generally in anime, there's fucking, in shonen anime, like a 3-year-old boy can beat the shit out of an adult. So why can't Charmander beat fucking Charizard up?
And like in Pikachu, like in the TV show, he works so hard and he becomes so great, and he can do this stuff that no other Pikachu can do, but you can't do that shit in the game.
Also, can we just get rid of Ash? Like, fuck Ash. Stop. Just stop. Let's just make a new fucking protagonist, make him better. Use Red. Red is so fucking cool.
Ooh,
Ash is
Red
such
is cool,
a bitch.
dude. Red is cool, and people who probably don't know Pokemon probably aren't this far in the podcast, but Red is so cool.
Yeah, he's so dope, and I don't understand why Ash is such a bitch, but his essential, like, counterpart, Red, is so fucking cool. Like, Pokemon Origins is by far the best Pokemon because Red is in it, and you're just like, man, this is so fucking good. So good. Plus, it's like a slightly more realistic version of Pokemon. It's got fucking, like, essentially, like, animal abuse in it, which is pretty crazy. You, like, basically see Team Rocket, like, beat the shit out of Marowak, and you're like, that's fucked up.
Who's your favorite legendary?
My favorite legendary Pokemon?
Yeah. Because I'm assuming your favorite Pokemon's Eevee.
No. My favorite Pokemon's is Tyranitar.
Oh,
Yeah,
I mean,
it's my favorite Pokemon. I like really big Pokemon, with the exception of legendaries, because my favorite legendary is probably, I would say, Deoxys, because I liked the different versions.
Deoxys is mysterious as hell.
Yeah, he's so fucking cool, and he has like the attack and defense and like swift versions of him. So I thought that was so fucking cool.
My favorite legendary is Mewtwo, just because the movie.
Yeah,
with
Mewtwo really gets your dick hard. Fucking Ash turns to stone, and you're like, man, Mewtwo, you're so good. You love that shit. And I don't understand it. Yeah, that's your main goal in every Pokemon game is to catch Mewtwo.
He's so cool.
Which also, in Pokemon Origins, he catches... spoiler alert, he fucking catches Mewtwo. So that's cool.
Yeah, doesn't he use, like, Charizard
Yeah,
to do
also,
it?
his Charizard still knows Swift. What the fuck? Delete that move.
I think that... I don't think their Pokemon forget moves.
If it exists in the video game, it should exist in the fucking TV show. What the fuck? Just, like,
yeah, I'm
delete
pretty
or
sure
edit
whatever
the
the
move.
Pokemon have known.
It's like, well, I mean, if they couldn't, like, get rid of moves, they'd still know Leer. Who the fuck keeps Leer?
Yeah, but they don't
Or
use it.
Growl. They use like 5 moves. You got 4 moves, bitch. Fucking delete Swift. That's such a stupid fucking move. So.
And I'd have to say Gengar's my favorite Pokemon.
Yeah, Gengar's pretty dope. Gengar's super dope. I've seen like sweatshirts that's like a purple sweatshirt with just eyes and it's like Gengar. I'm like, man, that's so fucking cool. So cool. So for the most part, unless you have anything else to talk about, the last topic, and I brought this up to you before we actually started recording the podcast, is we've both been talking about the most recent Game Over Greggy show with like Jessica Negri and the, what is it, the Grabbar or Grabby thing?
The Grabbler.
Yeah, the Grabbler thing.
It's one of the greatest bits in all of
that goes on for
ever.
like 30 fucking minutes.
It's so good. Oh, man.
Yeah, you're just like, amazing. 10 out of 10 would recommend.
Seriously, no. It is a 10 out of 10. It is incredible.
Yeah, it gets pretty crazy. But one part of that is like where he talks about the Grabbler grabbing on to like the ball as it drops, like fucking Ryan Seacrest is talking, and it's like the Grabbler grab the ball kind of a thing.
Very much like the dude from the Minions or whatever.
Oh yeah, I don't know.
Gru.
Those are so fucking. I'm not a Despicable Me fan. I don't. Yeah.
Yeah, Despicable Me. That's
everyone
it.
like loses their shit over.
His whole plan was like to grab the fucking moon or something.
Yeah. He steals the moon. Yeah, with the shrink ray and everything. I remember that. But I would like to ask you the question, and this is a totally like fucking hits the bong and then asks you the question. In what do you think, like, there's this big government conspiracy that it turns out the only reason we move on to the next year is because these balls or potato or whatever drops? So do you think if somebody stopped them, like stopped every one of them from dropping, we'd never go on to the next year? Time would just stop. It just wouldn't exist.
What? Time doesn't exist. Time is literally nothing.
No, I'm talking about, like, let's say fucking somebody, like, forgets to drop every single one of these balls and just everything's gone from existence. Nothing matters anymore.
No, that's not how things work, Vaughn.
I was thinking about that the other day and I was like, man, what would happen if somebody didn't drop that ball? Like, because they always do it and it's like a symbolic thing, but I'm like, seriously, what would happen though?
Nothing would happen.
What's the farthest I could go into this stupid ass train of thought, and it's that everything wouldn't exist.
Literally nothing would happen.
You don't know.
It would just continue. I do know, because that's just how
You're
the
fucking
time works.
brainwashed. The government has made you think that these balls don't mean anything, but they're what controls everything. They're gods. It made us make a potato drop. They fucking. That's why everything exists, is because these balls drop.
Have you seen the new movie coming out called Tag or something like that?
I've while watching the Philip DeFranco show, he consistently talks about the trailers, and I'm like, man, I really should watch that fucking trailer. But I keep forgetting about it.
It looks really funny. Well, at one point, Hannibal Buress says something. They're like, because the whole premise. I'm gonna give everyone the premise. If you don't want to hear it, tune out. The whole premise is there's a group of friends that have been playing the same game of tag since they were, young, like children.
I'm pretty sure that's actually based on a true story. I remember a story coming out several years ago about it.
Yeah, it said something about that, and at the beginning of the trailer. Yeah. But it was saying, this group of friends every March or whatever month it is, they always play this game of tag, no matter where you are, no matter what you're doing or whatever. And one of their buddies wants to stop doing it because he's getting married. I'm assuming he's settling down or whatever. And he's never been it. So the whole premise of this is this group of friends trying to get him to be it.
What would happen if he was it? Would time just stop? Nothing fucking exists?
And no, and the part that's so funny about this is they're all talking, not the guy that they're trying to get, but they're all talking. They're like, we need to synchronize watches. And one guy's like, I don't know how to do that. One guy's like, I don't even have a watch. And then Hannibal Buress says something like, time is relative. It means nothing, or something like that. And it's like, wow, Hannibal Buress gets it.
Yeah. Time is definitely relative. Like, fucking time zones exist. That's just stupid. Why do they fucking exist? Who the it's so dumb.
Well, it exists for the farmers, Vaughn. It's for the farmers
that.
or some
I don't give a
stupid
shit.
shit.
Fucking, you chose a hard not life. You live that hard not life. It's not my fault.
Everyone chose that life back in the day. You didn't really have much of a choice.
Dude, it's fucking 2018. If you're a farmer, you chose to be a farmer. You weren't, like, born into that family lineage. You could be whatever the fuck you want. Like, I'm not knocking farmers. If you want to be a farmer, that's amazing. I have farmers in my family. Perfectly good people. That's awesome. But don't bitch if you're a farmer that you don't have enough daylight. Eat my fucking ass. Stay up later.
Now that you say eat my ass, also in the trailer, there's this great part where he like locks himself in this cafeteria or something, and he sends out a note to the group of friends, and it says eat my, and then it has a drawing of something. You really can't see it too well, but it has a drawing of something, and they're like, is that an ass? is that balls? Is that eat my ass? Is that eat my balls? And Hannibal Buress goes, nah, he's saying eat my ice cream. He knows I'm lactose intolerant, and he's just trying to piss me off.
I'm gonna have to watch this trailer after this. I'm gonna have to watch
It's a pretty good trailer. I hope the movie's good. It's probably not, but I hope it is.
Well, yeah. So you pretty much bled me dry on intellectual topics. So unless you have any, I think this conversation is pretty much over.
No, I really don't have much else to say.
I like how I said intellectual topics, but my last topic was what would happen if the balls didn't drop.
Dude, if the balls didn't drop, we'd all be talking like this at really high pitch.
I know, the whole time I was talking about it, I was like, man, this is definitely like a euphemism for your nutsack hitting the ground. Like,
well, thank you for joining us, everybody. Hopefully you made it this far. Probably not, but hopefully you did.
it's only like an hour and 20 minutes or an hour and 16 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah, something like that. But, Vaughn, thank you for joining me.
Yeah, absolutely. I hope everybody has a great night.